Hello, everyone. We're back today, and today I've got a special treat for you guys. I've got Jared and Laura here
Hey,
on the Universe Guru YouTube channel. I know you guys absolutely loved seeing our interview together on Jared's channel, and I thought it would be really nice to have them over here today and get to know them a little bit better. So, welcome, Jared and Laura.
hey, thanks for having us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And before I even get started, actually, I have one really important question, and that is, how did you guys meet each other? I was wondering this.
Okay, so first off, Laura and I, we just want to make sure this is like out there. Like Laura and I, we're friends. We're best friends. Like good friends, but like we just have a good energy, I think, and we so work well together.
Yeah.
But
That's what I figured.
Yeah, we've kind of gotten that a couple times now, right? Like,
people usually ask us, so you guys a couple? You a couple?
Oh,
we a couple?
No, I figured that you guys work together and are friends. So that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Go for it.
Yeah, well, I guess when Laura, when was the first time that we connected?
Well, I was in England, so it would have been about 18 months ago, maybe longer, I think. It's been a while. So I think I instigated it because I was trying to find men. There's more to that sentence though. I was trying to find men who were awakened.
I see what you did now.
I was trying to find men who were awakened because I found that all the channels about spirituality and chakras being awakened, it was all women because so I was trying to find men. I don't know what I typed in, but I found Jared had long hair at the time, so I found some old videos of you with your man bun, and I was listening to your videos, and I was like, "Oh, that guy's got something," and I wanted to interview him. And I'm pretty sure I reached out to do it, but some wires got crossed, and either I got the time wrong or I didn't. Something happened.
Oh yeah, now I remember. Okay,
something.
Yeah. Okay. You had some speaking engagements coming up. And then you met me, and I was like in total masculine work mode, like 90-hour weeks, like unhealthy. And I was just like, this girl didn't get her times right. Like,
you need to make sure you show up next time.
I did say that to you, didn't I?
Yeah. So, and then we chatted back and forth. I think we did then you invited me onto one of your courses as you interviewed me for a bit or something.
Yeah,
we just connected every now and then on Instagram, talking. Like it was more sort of, hey, have you ever had this? Have you ever experienced that? And then we've just been friends. Then it kind of expanded, and we've been friends ever since.
Yeah. That's good.
Nice. So how long ago was that?
Probably
18 months. I think last January.
Oh, great! Awesome. Great. So what I'd like to do, because you guys are so young and you've come such a long way in your journey, not only just on a personal level through your own spiritual awakening, but also creating this beautiful heart-centered business. So I'd really just like to take my followers through that journey of how it happened for you guys. Like take us back into your life and kind of show us that play-by-play of how you arrived at this place and what led you here.
Laura, do you want to go first?
I totally don't mind. You can go first. Yeah. So for me, like I've kind of had like little spurts of realizing that there's more to the world than what we see right in front of us over the years. I think my mum introduced me to Abraham Hicks when I was about 18. And then I sort of read different books throughout my life where I started to realize there's more, but I never really implemented it. I just knew that there was something else. And I've always been a healer. I used to literally go up to people and just like touch places in their body where they were sick and they would get better. It was really crazy. I've always had that sort of ability. Didn't really do anything with it. And then when I was 25 and I'm 31 now, I was going through a really difficult time. I was living in San Diego and I was just a bit lost. I didn't know what I wanted to do, who I was, where I wanted to go. I knew that I was in fashion. I'd actually made my own brand, but it wasn't fulfilling anymore. And I just started meditating because I was so desperate. And I remember this scene so clearly. And I so honored this moment because it was the moment that I had. I was walking and pacing around in my living room floor in San Diego. And I was like, I literally fell to my knees like a movie. And I was like, I don't know what to do. And I was praying to anyone out there that would listen. I was like, there has to be someone here to tell me what to do because I don't know what to do. And I just closed my eyes and I just meditated for the first time. And I started doing that every day. And I started being able to connect in with the angelic realms and things like that. And it just clicked. And suddenly I said to my boyfriend at the time, I said, I think we're all doing this wrong. Life. I think we're doing it wrong. I think there's more. I don't think people are happy enough. And he said, well, what are you going to do about it? I said, I'm going to write a book. I think that's what I'm going to do. So I went back home to England and I spent a year writing a book I was a cleaner at the time. I didn't have any other work. I had no money. I was just scrubbing toilets in the day and writing at night. And I wrote a book. And it's amazing. Like you're not going to get that published. People don't publish books anymore. You can't write a book. Got published pretty quick. The first people published me instantly because they loved it, which I was really blessed to have. And then I thought, well, I'm going to put a YouTube channel out and I'm going to spread my message. And that's what I started doing. I went into tarot readings and I started helping people with tarot readings, and then it moved more to healings. And it kind of has grown and grown and grown over the last 5 years to be where we are now, where I work with women a lot with doing womb healing, because I want the next generation being born through to be as enlightened as possible. But just doing healings like that, working with women, working with guys as well, but just trying to get people to release any wounding or any darkness or any shadowy stuff that they carry, because I believe that we can live a life that is, I see my life as so blessed, and I believe that everyone has the birthright to feel so grateful and blessed every day to be alive. I literally wake up every day, I think I'm so happy to be in my body, to be alive, to be here. And I think it's everyone's birthright to feel like that, but we have to release stuff that makes us believe the opposite. And that's kind of why I wanted to do the work I do. So it's been a journey. Writing books, tarot cards was fun. I would do like 20 readings a day, which was ridiculous. I ended up collapsing at one point. I was like, I can't do this anymore. And then I started to find my footing. I was like, you can't do 20 tarot readings a day. No one can. Wow. So, like finding the balance of like having a life and being connected and blending it all. But yeah, it's been the best. It's been tough, but it's been so magical that I wouldn't change anything about it. I genuinely wouldn't change anything about it.
So Laura, what is your book about? I didn't know that you had published a book.
I do. It's called Embracing Your Divinity. And I wrote it based on the law of attraction and the 7 laws of the universe. Mm-hmm. It was sort of about, how to bring in what you want, how to heal emotional blocks, how to attract the type of life that you want to attract. It's kind of takes you through a journey. I interviewed a lot of other spiritual teachers and coaches, and with their story of what they've learned about creating the life you want. So their stories are in it, my story's in it, and it's just it's a really now I look back at it, because I wrote it 5 years ago. It's actually a really simple book about stuff. When people read it, they say to me, it feels like it was so obvious. Why didn't I see it? Why didn't I see it? Wow. It's a really simple story of what people have achieved and what I've achieved and how you can create what you want. So it's still going. You can buy it on my website. I haven't, I'm writing another one at the moment, but that was like my first in.
Yeah, that's your baby. I'll definitely have to go check it out, and we'll let everyone know how they can find it as well. And guys, while we're talking to you guys, you can post any questions that you have coming up for Laura or for Jared in the chat, and we'll be taking those at the end. So that's such a wonderful story, and I'm definitely going to check out your book. And what's your second book about? Do you want to give us a little spoiler?
The second book is going to be like the mother book. I'm so honored to be writing this. When I sit and write it, I'm just like, I cry sometimes, because it's basically, it's everything I've learned over the 5 years in a book, and how people can heal. So it talks about each chakra, the wounds and the blocks that we have within each chakra, past life, present life, even future stuff. And it's how to clear and cleanse all of that stuff to bring yourself up into an enlightened state. So it's in two parts. The first part of the book is talking about the chakras. Because I do past life regression work, I've learned like there's certain lifetimes that get stuck in certain chakras. Like Atlantean stuff gets stuck in the root chakra. Religious energy gets stuck in the solar plexus. It's been really an amazing understanding. So it's talking about each chakra, what the blocks are, where they get stuck, and how they then form into physical illnesses in the body as well, because that's amazing learning as well. So it's running people through all of those things from the base, because we're born in the base chakra that's created first. And if we don't feel stable in the world, or if we don't feel like our parents wanted us, that root chakra isn't going to form the way we want it. And then you see people that can't manifest money, the job, the stability, they struggle with that. They don't want to be here. So it's kind of talking about all the chakras running up. That's the first part. And the second part is step-to-step guide with how you clear each wound. And we're talking like hundreds of different specific wounds that I see in all my clients, and it's how to heal and clear every single one of those. So it's literally my path to enlightenment in a book. And
I love it.
I'm so honored that I've been chosen to literally write this, because the information, even when I write it, I start crying, because I just think, wow, this is such a gift to the world for it to be there in a book. If anyone says, well, how do I get there? Like, it's literally in a book. And I'm so honored to write it. So yeah.
I'm so excited. It's just being divinely channeled through you. I can just see it. That's so beautiful. Yeah. We can't wait for that one, but in the meantime, we will read your first book and then wait for that one. So that's really exciting. And we are having some questions come in, which we will take at the end. So Jared, what was your journey like?
Yeah. So mine was really very unique in the sense that I grew up right outside of Philadelphia, and my parents sent me to a Mennonite school. And this Mennonite school had Amish kids in it. And so it was in the middle of Lancaster County where the Amish live, very pacifist. And I was like the black sheep of the family. So I went there and had a very sheltered upbringing. I was homeschooled till 6th grade, and then 7th grade, my parents sent me to this like kind of Christian, almost like boarding school, because I was the one who always spoke the truth in the family. And I got punished for it, for speaking the truth, but something within me was just like, it's not true. So I'm going to speak up against that. And so that was really where my journey started, was just having that role in the family. But that created a lot of repressed anger at that point in my life. So when I graduated from high school, I actually went into the military. I went into the Marine Corps 2 weeks after I graduated. So I went straight from this Amish Mennonite pacifist school to, the Marine Corps, which is considered to be the world's most elite fighting force, and a machine gunner. And I found myself in Afghanistan 12 months later. And that was amazing because, being 18 years old, going from, Lancaster County, Pennsylvania in the Amish to Afghanistan, where actually they were living very similarly. And my brain couldn't compute that, because I grew up very conservative and patriotic and Republican. And so I remember showing up, and where we were in Afghanistan, no Americans had been yet. And so the people thought we were actually Russians from the Soviet Union, because the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan back in the 80s. And I just remember thinking, growing up, I had all this propaganda thrown at me about terrorism and things like this. But when I got over there and I got to know the people, they were super lovely. Like, they were really lovely people. The farmers were great. They were really kind. I'll never forget. I remember I had to go in one guy's house, because I was a machine gunner. You always have to be on the top of the roof at the highest points, so you can see out into the entire environment, so you can see where the enemy's coming from, and you can cover when your buddies move forward across the field. And I'll never forget it. It was like the first month in, I was on top of this guy's roof, and the Afghani man made me chai, cooked me bread. And I'm like, and I just remember having that moment being like, dude, I'm invading your country. I'm invading your property. I'm on top of your roof and you're cooking me bread and making me chai. And he even gave me a pillow so I could put my elbow, because I was on the roof and it was hard. So I could rest my elbow while I was like looking over my gun. And I just remember having that moment and being like, I think I'm the bad guy. I think I'm like the stormtrooper from Star Wars. Something isn't right here. And that experience really impressed upon me that something was awry. And so when I got back from Afghanistan, I really started doing all the deconditioning. I started to think I started looking at politics. I started looking at, all the narratives that I'd been told by my country. And slowly, the deconditioning process just started happening more and more. And then in 2012, I had my awakening because all the combat experiences that I had, all of it just came to the surface. All of it came to the top of my psyche. And that was where my healing journey started. It was the unwinding of my conditioning from childhood and religion. It was my unwinding from the conditioning of my family and unwinding the military conditioning. And it just kept going more and more and more until finally it got to the point where I was like, I don't even know who I am anymore because I don't really have any conditioning left. And so then I went to college, was going to go to grad school to become a psychologist and work at the VA and help other combat veterans. But I had healed all my wounds at that point, so it didn't necessarily get me the way that it did because I had healed all that. And I actually almost got married. Then I had my childhood stuff play out in that near marriage. And then once I healed all my childhood wounds, then that relationship broke apart naturally because there was no more that external reflection needed for healing. And then from there, I just made my first YouTube video. And it was so funny because the first YouTube video I ever made got the most views. It got like over 250,000. And I just shared with people my story, my Kundalini awakening story. And then that was like the start of my business. I had no intention of starting a healing or a coaching business. And then I really got hooked onto YouTube and then just started cranking them out. And then before I knew it, I was making some pretty good money doing it. And then I was like, wow, I think I actually have a business, but I just really followed my bliss. And that's it. And now I'm here.
Wow, what a story. So that's so interesting about what you said with being in Afghanistan, because my brother had the same experience. He was born and raised here and he went in the military, went to Afghanistan, said the same thing, that the kids there were like, if they had one toy, they would want him to have it. And people from the villages were bringing him like biryani and all this food that they eat. And he's like, wait a minute, are we the bad guys? So he had the same experience. That's so interesting. But that's such a beautiful story. And I love that because that's kind of how my business got started too, by accident, just from sharing YouTube videos and people asking for information about that. So I'm going to go back to Laura, but this question goes to both of you. So if someone's watching right now and they haven't necessarily started their journey, or maybe they're in that state where they're just starting to question like who they are, what's going on, like what would be your top 2 pieces of advice for them on where they can start their journey?
That's a great question. Laura, do you want to go first and then I'll go?
Yeah, I mean, when you're going through, I would say the best thing is to have the support from people that have either been through it or are going through it as well. Having the internet is a blessing because I didn't know what was going on either, and there was no one around me. Because what happens is that when you go through an awakening, your energy starts to rise, and that means that everyone that you were friends with on this level, if you move up here, there's kind of these people fade away. And then I still get emails now with people saying how lonely they are, and it's because they're focused on the fact that these people here used to make them feel really fulfilled and happy and safe, and now they don't because they don't connect with them, but they haven't yet quite grasped how to connect in with the earth and the universe. And so it feels really lonely. So when I went through my awakening, I just used to watch YouTube videos after YouTube videos of people that were going through the same thing, or people that had gone through it and had moved through the other side, because it made me feel safe to kind of let my energy move through. But also, where we want to focus our attention is going to be really, really crucial, because if we're focusing on, which I did sometimes, oh my God, I'm lonely, no one understands me, no one gets, I don't know what I'm doing. You know, if you're focusing on that, you're going to see more of that. And I remember having that moment myself. We've all cried naked on the bathroom floor. Most people have. That was my moment, just literally crying. I was like, no one understands me. And I didn't understand me. And then my sister came to me one day. I was living with my mum, and she came to me, and I was crying my eyes out. And she asked me what was wrong. And I told her, and she said, okay, but you're learning something that we don't understand. So I'm inspired by this. Teach it. Like, teach me. Tell me what you're learning. I want to know. And in that moment, I clicked into, hang on a minute, this is a gift. And then I was able to steer it. And that's actually, I was reading my book. She gave me the title for the book, and it kind of all went from there. She said to me, at the end of the day, we can't take any of this material stuff with us when we die. We can only take our soul. So the mission in life is to just be a good soul. And that's how my website was created. It was called Be a Good Soul for about 4 years. My book was going to be called that too. And that's how I live. And then as soon as I clicked into, hang on a minute, this is a blessing. I need to understand this to teach others. Then I was okay. But if we're looking at the, I'm lonely, I'm lost, no one understands me, and trying to, you know, when you just see people that don't get it, and suddenly the people you love don't get it, and you want to shake them and be like, please get it, please get it, because I don't want to be on board with this. Can't do that. Like, you just can't do that.
It repels people.
Completely. I mean, wouldn't it repel you if someone came up to you right now and was like, this is what I know, please see it? You probably just be like, can you just not, please? Because you have to ask the question, so you don't want the answer. If someone doesn't ask, they don't want to know. So you have to focus on the inner energy and be like, okay, I know I'm learning something here. And as soon as you're okay with that, and you start seeing it as like a real royal blessing, not only do you feel better, but you start bringing in people that are curious as well. And then you're going to click into those energies and continue to move into a more enlightened state. So it's really focusing on the fact that it is a blessing. I know it doesn't feel like it, but it genuinely is. But if you focus on that, they don't understand me, I'm not friends with them anymore, then that's really a painful place to be. And I wouldn't wish anyone to be in that place for too long. It doesn't feel good. So I would say focus and support. That's what I would say.
Focus on service. I like that.
Yeah. Focus on the blessing of it, and focus on people that do understand, and the supportive community, and that those people remind you that this is really an experience that not everyone gets to go through. And you may not feel, it's like Bambi. You're like trying to walk on ice, but at one day you're going to stand up, put your crown on.
I like that.
Forward, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's. I don't know what you would say, Jared. I don't know if you'd say something similar, but what would you say?
I would say that just follow your bliss and create your bliss as well too. Like for me, at first it was like, okay, I'm in all this pain and I want to figure out how to get out of this pain. And so that was the start of the journey. And then as I followed the pain and I felt into that, it suddenly switched into like me feeling all of that pain. And then as I went deeper into that pain, there was almost like something on the other side where it was like, oh, it's not pleasure, it's not pain. And that's what I call as bliss. Like bliss is the combination of pleasure and pain. Like not because most human beings, we run as my guys, can you hear me okay? Or is there any feedback?
Yeah, no, it's perfect.
Back. I don't know if it's the
okay. I can't hear it.
Okay. Yeah, let me just try something here real quick.
That was better. Oh.
How's the voice for you guys? Let me know in the chat.
Now you're completely muted. Is that purposely done?
Can you guys is that better?
Yeah, it sounds like you're in a small room.
Okay.
But, yeah, that's better. That's
okay. All right. Well, we'll just go with that.
Okay.
So I realized I wanted to understand what was going on and what was causing like the pain in my life. And then as I understood what caused that pain, I wanted naturally more pleasure. And most human beings, they either try to avoid pain and go towards pleasure. But that's where addictions come in. That's where we get lost down paths that we don't want to go. And I remember there was one day where I literally transcended the desire for just pleasure and avoidance of pain, and where I embraced both equally. And the night that I did that, I had this amazing experience where I was sleeping. This was about 4 years ago. I was sleeping in my apartment, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and I was in a perfect yoga posture, like sitting up in a perfect yoga posture. And my hands were together, and I was doing like some weird symbol like this with my hands, and there was no personality there. It was just pure awareness. And then my personality like came online, and I like looked at my hands, and then I looked at how I was sitting, and I was like, because I was sitting up in my bed, and I was like, what am I doing? And that was like, I knew that I had just like got initiated into something, because I no longer feared pain, mental, emotional, or physical pain, and I no longer ran towards pleasure. There was just this new energy of bliss that started coming into my experience. And so then it was no longer about following pain. It became about, okay, I want to follow bliss. I'd like, that's going to be my driving force. And I just, from that moment on, I started doing day by day, moment by moment, what I really enjoyed and what gave me that feeling of bliss. And that happened to not be college anymore, because I was on a full ride. I left university. And I started making the videos, and I remember I moved from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh to be with the woman who I loved at that point, because at that point she was my bliss, and it just kept getting better and better and better. And I didn't have it. There wasn't time. I mean, of course there were times where it was rough, but anytime that I just focused on that bliss, whatever made me feel blissful, everything seemed to work out really, really well in my favor. And so that really became how I started navigating life. What's making me feel more blissful? And sometimes it's making a video, sometimes it's reaching out and talking to somebody, and that was the building of it.
So that's so interesting, Jared. So like speaking to my community for a second, it mirrors my journey so good. You guys remember when I was telling you guys about how if you want to be happy, you have to be in neutral? And I think Jared that's kind of where he's dancing. Like, it's so interesting to me because I've never heard anyone else talk about this, because I was in that same mode where it was like this avoidance of pain because I had been through so much pain in my life, and it was like, that's it, I'm done. But then you do get addicted to like, just like, for me, how it was showing up was like, I couldn't tolerate people that weren't high vibe. And so I became this like very intolerant person around other people that like were complaining. And then I realized that's not true spirituality. Like, if my vibe is high, then I should be able to maintain it regardless of what's happening. And that's where exactly what you were saying of like, where you're not chasing anything, and it's like you're in this weird neutral space. And then I use the word bliss a lot, and like you're using it so much, and it's like, I know exactly what you mean, where you're in neutral, and that's where the bliss is. It's not here or there.
Steadiness.
Steadiness. I love it. That's exactly what it's been. Just that neutral, that bliss, not looking for anything on the outside to validate you or make you feel better, but just feeling it within. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God, that's so beautiful. It's so nice to talk to other people who have been through that same journey, because and truly, because a lot of times you end up thinking that other people have, and then there's like this process of spiritual bypassing going on, and you notice it right away. And so this is truly an honor to actually see someone's journey have unfolded the way that I can completely 110% relate to what both of you guys are saying. So I know that's like, it's legit because of like entering that space where it's not like this, because even people are like, who are in this constant weird fake high where they can't really relate to, for example, right now with everything going on with the virus, You can tell the people that are spiritually bypassing it because they can't tap into the empathy or the compassion of what everyone else is going through. And where you can see that, and if you're really healed, you can see that, feel into that, release the pain, and then still be in that neutral state. Is this making sense to you guys? Can you relate to this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, that's beautiful. I think I have seen that. I've seen it, and that spiritual bypassing. I mean, it happens in relationship. It happens in, like, I was just talking to one of my clients the other day. She's really waking up right now, and the man that she's dating is like already, he's been awakened for a longer time. Like, there's some sort of comparison. And he like looks at, when she asks for regular human things, he looks at it as like, oh, she's not being spiritual right now, or
Oh no.
and then she like questions it. It's like, what am I doing? And I'm like, no, he's just being an asshole.
Yes. Oh no.
He's just being an asshole. Like, yes, he might be like awakened or whatever, but like, we're human beings. Like, we need to honor our divinity and our spirituality, and we also need to honor our humanness. I think, and I was guilty of the same thing too. Like, I'm not excusing my past behavior, because I was there too. But then I realized, I was like, well, no one really likes me, and I don't actually really like myself, because like, who wants to hold it up above other people? And so it was like, once I explained that to her, she was like, oh yeah, I'm totally breaking up with him.
She got it. Yes. And that's when something you were saying, Laura, earlier, and I think it ties together with what's going on with Jared's client, with the client's boyfriend or partner. It's like, how you were saying that when you're having this awakening, that your energy rises. Mm-hmm. Well, the thing that I've noticed is that people who are really awakening and their energy is going up, if they're not doing something every day to ground their energy, they become these really weird woo speaking people, and it's like no one can relate to them. And again, I'm guilty of that too, because that happened to me at some point, where it was like I was speaking in what seemed like to my family in tongues. They were like, what is going on with you, kind of, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then you realize, okay, back to earth, Mina, like we are having a 3D experience here. Yeah. So I do grounding work every single day, because the more spiritual work you do, I think the more grounded you need to be. And I think that's what's going on with Jared, your client's partner, is that he's up there somewhere. It's like, remember that we're also here.
Yeah. It's funny. Like, I always say to my clients, because it's like everything's polar. You got the law of polarity, right? So it's like, the higher you go, the more you have to pull it to the ground. And if you're not in the ground, it's like a balloon. If someone's not holding on to that string, you're just gonna float off into the abyss.
And sound really weird, yes.
And people can't. I can always tell if someone's not grounded with them, because I'm like, I can't really hear their message. They're kind of. And if I work with a client who's not grounded, they can't focus in on what the work is, because they're just kind of floating everywhere. Yes. I think that from what I've noticed, and I've done this too, is that I don't think a spiritual awakening is complete until you come back down to the ground. It's not really.
Oh my God! Yes, yes. I think that needs to be hashtagged, and like that needs to be tweeted out and coded out everywhere. Say that again, because that's an aha moment right there, because that's when you come full circle.
Exactly. Yes, an awakening isn't complete until you come back down to the ground, because you go up and you elevate and you do the healing, and then you got to come back down. So this is why you see people that go, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I can't go outside. I'm too sensitive, or I don't want to be in the world. I'm like, well, you're not in the ground then, because like you can't ignore the real reality. You don't have to live in it and live and breathe it, but you got to know it exists, and you got to be in a place of compassion and wisdom to be able to handle those things. But a lot of people, they go through the awakening, and a lot of people go through an awakening because they've been hurt. Like, I went through an awakening because I was in pain. Most people wake up when they're in pain. And the thing is that they go up and they go, oh, this is amazing. I don't feel any pain. But then they're avoiding this piece here, and they float up here, and it's a way to avoid. the pain and suffering that they may be experiencing themselves, and they don't want to look at it.
Absolutely. And I think the first place it shows up as like a wake-up call is probably in your relationships, because your partners can't feel you, can't see you, you can't see them, you can't relate to them. And then we're back. It's like instead of doing the full circle that you're talking about, you fall and you wake up really harshly because your partner is out the door or something's going on and you're like, oh no, what happened? So yes, that was so good, Laura. I love that story that you told, just like put it in this beautiful package. And I think that's something I've been struggling to explain. And actually yesterday I was doing a live stream on my Facebook page, and someone said that she's heard that spiritual people can sound arrogant, and this was probably the answer. It's because they haven't come back down to earth. That's why they're in the space of sounding a little bit arrogant.
Yeah, because I mean, Jerry, you've seen this as well. People that float up here, they get to a point where they think, well, I'm awakened, so I'm better than everyone, and I see where everyone's going wrong. I'm like, but that's ego. That's just ego. No one's better than anyone else, and I always say this to everyone, like, I'm the same as everyone else. I've been through it. I go through it. I teach the stuff because I've done it. I've been the person that's like, I'm holier than thou. I've been that person. It didn't last that long. It doesn't feel good.
It's a lonely place to be.
It is.
Yes, it is. It is. Yes. Yeah. Table for one. Yes.
Exactly. Microwave meal for one, please.
All right, we're on lockdown. Do you guys want to take some questions now from my oh, we've got a lot of comments and questions coming up. Wow, love it. Okay. Elizabeth said, I have been there. I love this. Okay. So let's take from Anjana, and she asked, how can we cultivate more bliss in our daily lives?
Jared.
Yeah, that's a great question. Okay, so how can we cultivate more bliss? There's this concept that I taught, and Laura can probably speak to this from the chakra level more, but I finally realized that we all have our own flow of energy. Like, we could call it our soul's energy, our spirit, but our spirit flows through the chakras, which flows through the body. And I finally discovered, before I would look out to other people and say, what techniques are they using, or what spiritual practices are they doing, and I need to do those. And I think that's a good starting point. But eventually, I got to my own development where I realized that in order for me to have the best experience here on earth and be in my own bliss, I have to do what makes me feel blissful from moment to moment. And so that looks differently every day. There's some days where I don't wake up till 10 a.m. and I'll work till 5, and I'm like, wow, that was amazing. And then there's other days where I'll wake up at 3 a.m. and I'll work till 10 p.m. because the energy's there. And like, that's that, and I'll feel blissed out during the whole time doing that. So it's about feeling your own flow, and energetically at the chakra level, you'll know it because you'll feel it in your heart here. Oh, this feels good in my heart. Yes, my heart loves doing this activity. And then you'll also feel restored your solar plexus and your power chakra. And so when those two meet, when the solar plexus, the stomach, the gut, meets with the heart chakra, that's when you know you're in your own flow. I'm in my power. I can influence and impact the world in the way that I want to, but I also am loving it and in love with every step of the way entirely. So I'm always feeling, whether it's for clients, whether it's interviews, whether it's people, so what allows me to live in that space where I feel into my solar plexus and I feel into my heart chakra, and where those two are connected, because that is your flow. That's your bliss right there. You know, there's this great author, I think Michael Chiazalmi. He wrote a book called Flow, and he studied people who get in their own flow. And he found that when we're focused on one thing for a really long time that excites us, that's when we get in our own flow. And for me, that changes every day based off of energetically what I want to do. So I'm very attentive to in my body what feels right, and then also what allows me to feel like I can have impact and influence in the world in a way that feels good for me.
I love that. Yes, beautiful. I love that state of flow. And I've read that book as well. And I actually had an experience where I was finding myself in flow and would lose large chunks of time. And so I was talking to a friend about that, and she recommended the book. She's like, you may be in flow. Because I'm like, I'm having fun, but I don't know where my time is going. Because you know how it's like it's like the flow blackout, right?
Right.
The flow tunnel. And so, Laura, how would you answer that question?
I would say the same. I mean, I think moving with the intuition is key, because what I noticed was that there were moments where I could experience bliss. I remember one morning I went to my beach here, and I grabbed myself a chai, and I sat on the beach, and I was in pure bliss in that moment, present. I believe bliss is in the present. If someone's anxious, thinking about the future, right? If they're depressed or whatever, they're thinking about the past, like you have to be in the present moment. And I sat there and I was experiencing this bliss. And so the next day I thought, oh my God, that was amazing. I'm going to go and do that again. And I got my chai and I sat down and I thought, this is really boring. I don't want to be here. And I was really fun. I was like, right, just focus on the ocean. There's the surf. I was like, no, I'm not having fun. And then I realized, well, that was my bliss then. What is my bliss now? My bliss now at that moment was actually just to walk, go for a walk and be in nature. And people do that when we awaken. Like we've talked about this before, Joe, like people like trying to go to the gym. Oh, I used to love doing that. I've got to try and do that again. Can't do it. I'm a failure. I feel guilt. I feel shame. I'm useless. I can't go to the gym. I can't run like I used to. I can't be around those people that I used to be. You've got to keep up with yourself every day, all the time. Like there are days where you're going to want to full on go to the gym, go for a run. You feel amazing. The next day you think, I just want to be on the beach and do nothing. And that's okay. And it's not judging yourself, because some people, they like to put themselves in a routine, but the routine doesn't allow them to be in the flow. And then if they can't put themselves in the routine because they want to be in the flow, but they don't know how to use their flow, they're in this energy of like, they go to guilt, shame, and anger. Those are the three things that cover the pain body: guilt, shame, and anger. And they go to those things. They shame themselves, they criticize themselves, they get angry with themselves because they're not letting themselves go in with the flow of where they need to be and just following the intuition. I can't tell you how many times I've just thought, I'm going to go and do this. And it's so random. Like, yeah, I have the best time. Even if it's completely, like if a friend texts me and says, what are you doing? And I tell them, they go, okay. But it feels amazing. It doesn't make sense for anyone else. But I'm going with what I feel I want to do in the moment. And it never goes wrong. Like you can never follow. No one has ever said, I wish I didn't follow my intuition today. I've never heard anyone say that ever, because if you're following your intuition, you're good to go. Because it's the heart, like Joe was saying, it's following the heart. But you got to have those energies of that, if you think of the heart chakra here in the closing of it. So connecting in, knowing where you want to go, feeling it in the heart, being in the root center as well, and being able to physically go through and do those things, those blends. That would be following your bliss every day, and just knowing that it is going to be every day. It might be the same for a few days. Oh, I really want to go to the beach again. I want to go and do this again. And then there's days where you don't want to do anything, and that's okay too. But people tend to judge themselves, or they think they have to do something. And we're seeing this a lot with the lockdown. No one can go to the gym. No one can go to the office. No one can go out and have a cocktail at 8 p.m. Like they can't do anything. And so actually what they're experiencing right now is bliss, because there's no distraction of anything. All you can do is just sit down, and there's no guilt, because you can't go to the gym, you can't go to the office, and you can't go meet your friends. There's nothing. There's no guilt or shame. You have permission to do nothing. And it's actually giving people the state of bliss right now that they might have never experienced. Pretty amazing.
Yes, I love that. Yes. I hope more people are taking advantage of it. And I think initially there was like this shock factor. People were in shock for, at least in the US, like the first 3 days. And there was a lot of complaining and a lot of like that fear energy going on. But I think people have settled into realizing that there are blessings in that. So I really like that. Yes, love that. So let's take another one. We've got lots of questions coming. Well, Anjana said that makes so much sense. Some days I read for hours and I'm happy, and some days I don't read at all and I'm happy. I just follow my instinct and flow. Love that.
It's funny. Have you noticed? Did you guys do this? This is, you know, when you have your awakening and you're like, because for me, I read books. I just have like read books and watch YouTube videos and then a lot of people, they think that their awakening stops. And they're like, I don't want to read anymore. I don't want to do yoga anymore. I don't want to do all those things that I was doing when I awoke. And so they've got back to sleep when actually they've awoken to the next thing. And they're trying to find, like I read every day. I ate raw vegan food. I did yoga every day. And then I went through a phase where I couldn't stand doing any of those things.
Yeah.
And for a while, oh my God, I'm not sleep. But it's not. It's just that when you try and go back, you feel the guilt, the shame, and the failure like you would do if you were trying to go to the gym or do all the old paradigm stuff. Have you guys had that experience too, where you just move up the tiers? Like,
yeah,
kind of...
I call that the completion process. It's like digestion. You need that process. I think if you will burn yourself out if you don't go through that process, because it's like the integration. It's like it's like becoming a part of you now. Everything that you were consuming.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, I've definitely gone through that. I mean, I remember after my awakening, I was very lightheaded on up there, and then I got very materialistic in response to that. And I was so materialistic. I remember I was like, man, this is weird. I've never been this materialistic before. And then I balanced out between the two. I think that's normal. I think we go, at least in my experience, I go one way, and then I'm like, oh wow, that's definitely not it. And then you go almost the other way in reaction to that. And it's like, well, that's definitely not it. And I think that's like the process of living. It's like in our relationships and our businesses and our life, we kind of discover what it is that we want by going to those extremes until we know who we are and what we like. And then that carries us.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you guys must be my soul family, because my husband actually calls that there's Mina's pendulum swing again. Because he says you have to go on this extreme, and then it's but in the beginning he didn't understand it, and so I told him, I pointed it on, like, but have you noticed that I do this and then I do this and then I find my balance? So he's like, oh, it's kind of like your pendulum swing. And so it's so weird that you would use that as an example. Like, you guys are soul family. This is so bizarre.
I totally believe in that, because I'm the same. Like, I have to go. If I discover something, I go all at it, completely 1000%, and then I'm like, I don't want to ever see it again.
You're burned out. Yeah.
It kind of integrates a part of your being. So then it's kind of nettles in into your being, into your centeredness as to where, and then you use it when you need it, and you go into it when you need it.
Yes, I love that. Yes, you guys really get it. We have to do like a monthly thing with you guys, because this is so much fun, because you exactly get my journey. And a lot of my followers can relate to this too. So
Good.
let's see. Let's find another one. So let's see. It seems like the really juicy ones are from the same person. So let's just go for it. I'm just gonna pick this one again. Where was it? So Anjana said, wow, I love the concept of being able to heal every wound. Can you give examples of common wounds? I like that one, because I think a lot of people will be able to relate to that.
Yeah. I mean, did you want to go? I've got some. You've got some.
Yeah, you can go for that, Laura. I'm gonna bring the comment up here on the screen so everyone can see it.
So the common wounds that I see, and I'll relate them back to the lifetimes where they got embedded, because that's just what I've seen in my clients. So, for me, the biggest core wound that I see it's mainly in women, but it is in men too, is actually fear and anger towards the masculine. That gets really embedded in the lower chakra, especially the sacral, but it also gets embedded in the root chakra. But when I see that wound all the time, and people don't know they have it in them, but women that come to me with that wound, they have endometriosis, they have cysts. Sometimes if it's not dealt with, it can lead to cancers and things like that. But the wounds really sit in that wound. The wound sits in the womb. And so a lot of my clients that come to me that have that fear or anger towards men, they don't realize they have it. Past life, it's not a very nice past life. I'll brush over it, but it's usually cult and religious energies stems from that. Priest energy all the time, which is not very nice. Religious energies and the cult power, those kind of shift energies, and it all sits in the sacral. When they clear that, their womb starts to heal. The endometrium lifts, painful periods lifts, and they start being, feeling happier and floating up. So I see that wound a lot, and I also see the third eye wound, which is usually linked to witch energy. So any lifetime where we've been accused of being a witch and killed for it, we tend to close off the gifts because we were killed for the gifts. So I always call it, it's like an equals death. So for them, it's spiritual gifts equal death. So anything that caused us to die in a different lifetime, that's kind of puts in as a wound, and we carry it. So people that can't connect up, or that they know they have a gift and they can't put it forward, or they're scared to put it forward, people that have these amazing gifts but they don't want to tell anyone, that's usually witch energy. They don't want to connect in with that. And I totally get, I think most people have that. But I see that, and then I see the wound in the womb space with women, and it is an anger towards men. And then they tend to bring in relationships where they end up getting frustrated that men do this or men do that, or that's the two. I mean, I could go into, there's hundreds, but those are the two I see the most.
I love that. That's so good.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
And Jared, do you work mainly with men, women, or both?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, I've found that I tend to work with, when I looked back, and I didn't actually realize this until about 3 weeks ago when I had a coaching session with my own coach, and I was looking at the demographics. It's mostly women. Like 75% of it is women between 30 and 50 years old. For whatever reason, that's the energy that I track. I think because, if I had to guess, because I have that masculinity, so I have that strength, but at the same time I have the softness as well too. And so I found the majority of my clients are women. I have had male clients, but they're usually gay.
Really? That's quite interesting. I would think that more men would take advantage of the fact that you are so balanced and can hold that container of masculine energy in a very healthy way. But interesting.
I would really love to start working with them, because there's a part of me that gets almost intimidated by not really super masculine men, because I've been a super hyper masculine male, which was really unhealthy. But there's still some part of me that sometimes gets intimidated. Intimidated. Yeah, that's the word. Intimidated by them, because that hardness, I'm so sensitive to it. Like, I'm just so incredibly sensitive to it. And I think they get intimidated by my softness. So, I have one client who I've been working with for 3 years, and he's actually that type of person. But it took us 6 months of developing a relationship before we actually had a coaching agreement. And so, I mean, I would love to start working with more of those men as well, like reflections of me, or maybe who aren't at that level yet, but want to get there. I just haven't seen it come in yet. And so we'll see what happens. Maybe there's more work that I have to do there internally, but I like to think I don't, but who knows,
Interesting. So I work with mostly with women, but I often will work with couples too. Women will bring in their partners on certain coaching sessions. But a lot of women ask me for a referral where their husband can go, so that we can talk more about that. Because I think that you would be a really great candidate for that, where you can hold that space for, especially at the same time that the wife may be getting coaching. And if the husband was getting it too, I mean, you imagine what kind of an up level you could have.
Wow. Yeah. It's so cool that you say that, Mina, because now that I'm actually thinking about this, I just had a previous client who's a woman. She's an entrepreneur in France, and she's with a man, and they're going through some things right now. And as you said that, I remember reflecting on the thought, like, oh, I would love to coach him. And then I actually did say that to her. I said, could you connect us? Because there's some areas where I can really help them. Because I see, this is what's sad to me, is I see so many men who put on these hard shells to go out there and, you know, be the businessman in the world. And I've been this, and Laura, you've helped me with some of this in your own work. And I've been that type, but you can still be strong in the business world when you need to be, and you can still be soft at home. But most men don't know that that's possible because one, they've never had a model of it, or they've just never been taught how to be that way, or they've never been in the presence of someone who can style flex or fluctuate their energies in that way. And so I'm glad that you say that, because maybe that's a little bit of a premonition, because I would really love to start working with those types of men, because God, we need it more. Like I have 3 other brothers. My older brothers are pretty, you know, masculine male, and my 2 younger brothers, they're very masculine in their own ways, but they can be soft as well. And I don't see too many of those types of men, at least out there in the world. And I don't know, is that your guys' experience? I'd be really, I mean, Laura and Mina, do you guys see those types of men who can be that, you know, I got to get stuff done, be in their masculine energy, but then also soften for you when there needs to be a softening? Have you guys had those experiences? Mina, I know you do because you're married right now, but I'm just interested to hear that perspective, because I don't see those men out there.
So they're definitely there, and I'll tell you why you don't see them. And because they will be soft in the presence of the person that can create that emotional safety for them. So this is a conversation that I actually had with my husband, because he would come home and have like a really kind of like this walled off energy. And at this point, we didn't create that. We didn't have that emotional safety. But after we did, I talked to him about it, and he was mind blown, because he's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you understand that." So I told him, I said, when you go to work as a man, working with other women, working with men, being in that corporate environment, I think you probably have to really harden up your energy. In many ways, right? Men working next to other women, that's a fairly newish thing in human evolution. And so you have to be really careful, especially with all of the new movements and all of the harassment and stuff. Like, so it's like you can't even make a simple joke around people that they might get offended. This is what my husband and a lot of his friends tell me, that you have to be like really on guard, especially with other women at work. And so they're keeping their energy like really hardened at work. So when they come home, like sometimes they're still holding that energy. And so when I was explaining this to my husband, that this is probably what's happening, he was like, "Oh," he's like, "My mind is blown right now that you actually understand this." And I'm like, and what I'm asking is that you become more conscious of that, because you bring that in with us, and then it's like this like really hardened, walled off energy. And it immediately changed after that, because I think he became really conscious of that. So with a lot of my clients, I see this too, where the women say like he won't talk to me and he won't do this. And so I've created a program, actually. It's called 90-day relationship rehab, where you're not supposed to talk about anything serious. You put everything on the shelf for a moment, and you do all of these there's like, it's laid out for you, and instantly they're like, now I can't get him to shut up. So now they have another problem. They're like, now he's sharing everything, he's open, but like they have the opposite problem now, because he's chasing him around, and chasing them around. So I think it's a combination of nervous system programmed for like constantly watching your energy, and also not having that emotional safety at home. What do you think, Laura? Has that been your experience?
You were talking about, right? It's like first it was here, and then suddenly now you can't get them to stop talking, and then it's like where it wants to sit in the center. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, I learned that through my ex. Probably like 3 or 4 years ago, because he actually was probably the same as your husband, in that he was conscious that he was doing it. So he'd come home and he'd look like this wall would be there, and I could feel it. And I used to, because I wasn't awake, and I used to take it personally. I'm like, oh, I didn't like it. But he would say to me, when I come home, just give me 15 minutes. I'm going to sit down on the couch. I'm going to play the guitar, or I'm going to just chill for a minute, and then I'm going to get up, shower, put my jeans and shorts on, and then we're us again. So he would actually be able to do those things. I think for women, we have to be very conscious of how we feel when they are doing that. Because if I was more conscious conscious at the time. I would have seen that as a very awakened, evolved man who's very, very conscious of the emotions and his openness. I didn't. I had abandonment stuff, so I saw it as like, oh, I don't like it when you come home feeling like that. And actually, it was me that caused the issues, not him. So we have to be aware that guys do that, because this is absolutely it. The guy, when they go to work, they have to be, like you say, really guarded. They have to be. It's the work environment, and they go, 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 go. And sometimes most of the time, actually, they're going to bring that home, and we have to have empathy for that. They're working really hard to provide, and men need to have a purpose, right, Jared? You guys need to have a purpose.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
If you don't feel like you have a purpose, you maybe don't feel like you are. Like,
yeah, there's no point.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Like, my ex would say to me, like, he lost his job at one point, and I lost him when he lost his job, because he didn't know who he was anymore, because he didn't have a purpose.
Wow.
So we have to be conscious that they need that purpose. And some women, I know, we're constantly like, what, like, give me attention. What about me? What about me? You didn't ask me how my day was. And it's like, just give them a minute. Like, let them just be, and let them come back to, let them just release, let the wall down. And then you guys can ebb and flow how you want. But we both have to be aware of it from both angles, I think.
I'm really interested in this because, like, Mina, as you're sharing with me what you did for your husband, like, your softness softened him. But what I'm interested in is creating men to get to the point. I know that sounds a little weird, but that's how I think of it, is creating men who know how to harden their energy when they need to harden, and how to soften their energy when they need to soften. And they can do all of that and generate that within themselves. Like, I have yet to find a male, other than the coach that I'm working with now, which is one of the reasons why I hired him, who has the ability to soften when they need to soften from within, so they can, okay, you know what? I want to connect with my wife now. And now I'm going to soften it. And then they can allow that connection, but then also harden when they need to harden, because I feel like that's a human being who's really mastered masculine and feminine energy. And like, that's the type of, I want to create that in human beings, because I feel like I've finally gotten to a place where I can do that pretty well. If I need to go hard, I can go hard. And if I need to soften, then I can soften. And I can do that energetically with my being to a person based off of what I want to happen in the situation. So for instance, if someone's really hard in a coaching session, I know to soften. And then if someone's really soft and they need to be like, hey man, like, we got to get the ball rolling. Let's go. Like, are you making the calls? Are you reaching the interviews? Like, cause sometimes that is what people need. And so it's, for me, I'm really interested in that space. And I don't think there's a lot of men out there, at least who I've seen, who can do that, who can harden when they need to harden and soften when they need to soften. And that's really what I get excited about, because as I know how to do that more and more, I see the power of it. There's so much power behind that.
So I teach the female reciprocal of that, and women being able to do that as well, because a lot of women are hardening too from all the masculine work and wounding. But I also teach that in how to invoke that in your man, exactly by the way you were saying how you do that in a coaching relationship where you soften. And so we're teaching it from the angle, because like you've noticed, both of you, that it's the women that are coming to us. So when we have the woman in front of us, we can teach her how to navigate this. But of course, yes, if men were more willing to go to, and I think this is becoming more and more common. It's not completely as balanced out as it is in with women, but it's becoming common. At least women are forcing their men to go into coaching and things like that, so that if you can train the man, then you up level, at quantum speed, because you're not having to inspire him. He's actually doing the work on his own as well.
Right. Yeah. I love that. There's such a power there to be able to evoke or invoke an energy out of a person based off of how you show up. Yeah. There's a lot of power there.
So what we need to do then is teach a co-ed, because I teach a conscious couples intensive, as I was telling you guys before, and what men are welcome, their partners are welcome to come, but they're like, we'll just listen in the background kind of thing, you know, because, and I think it's because they would feel more comfortable if there was actually a man present. But you have to understand that for years, for decades, I actually studied with some of the best marriage counselors and therapists in Chicago when I was doing my communication studies. And this is what my professors were saying too. It's because the therapy and counseling system has been set up almost against men. Like the loudest, best communicator wins, and that's usually women. And so they have that wound of wanting to go get help because they know that they're going to be placed in an unfair advantage.
Right. I love that. And I've seen that. I was just reading an article the other day where it spoke to that I think it was by Mark Manson. Do you guys know Mark Manson? He wrote the book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Yes, I follow him on Instagram too.
Yeah.
Yes, he's funny. Yes.
Yeah, it's a great book. And he was saying, like, of course a man isn't going to listen, like now I could, but I think with men who are a little bit more hardened, he's like, they're not going to listen to a woman counseling them on relationship because it's like, you don't understand what we as men like really care about. And until they can prove that they understand what men really care about. So I think I think where we're going as a collective species is like we're rising above these gender roles and really having to learn how to fit in both, to be fluid, to have that balance of the masculine and feminine. And I mean, that's what the awakened Kundalini energy is really about is, okay, I need to be I can be masculine when I need to be masculine, and I can be feminine when I need to be feminine. Like if a rich girl comes in and says, I want to marry you and she's awesome and you can just stay at home, like I could play that role if I wanted to. And then I would enjoy it, and then I'd probably get bored with it and be like, okay, I want to get back out there in the world, but I can flex that energy really quickly.
Yeah. It's funny that I remember a friend saying to me, because I think there's like a real balance to this, because I understand the men, and I think at the moment, and this can change or maybe it needs to change, I genuinely feel like men heal men and women heal women. And I think, because like I remember reading Eckhart Tolle's book once, and he was talking about menstrual cycles, and I remember thinking, dude, you don't have a womb. You don't know what we go through and what it feels like. So I don't know that you know what you're talking about. I'm sure he did. I think he's great. But but what I see a lot, and there's got to be a balance with this, is that women try to, we talked about this on our live yesterday or something, women try to fix more men all the time, and they're doing it because they want them to be like, this is what I want, I pick you, you have to be what I want so that I'm happy, or you have to, and then they fall in love with an idea of someone rather than the actual person, and then they get to the person doesn't live up to the idea that they've created in their own head that's not legit right in front of them. And someone said to me once, it was a guru, and she said to me, let the men heal the men. It's not your job. Stop wasting your time trying to fix a man. You've got to heal yourself, and then you can heal other women, but let the men heal the men. And at first when I heard that, I thought, well, hang on a minute. No. But actually, what I think that we can do as women for men is that we, like you say, Mina, we hold space for them to come in. Like I remember when I went through a phase of dating, every guy that was in my presence said the same thing to me. I feel so calm. I feel so relaxed. I could fall asleep. Because that shell that they don't know how to control kind of comes down just by me being present. I didn't do anything. I just was present because of my feminine energy, and they would just feel like they could sleep for 1,000 years, like they've been at war for years, and they get to come home and just rest. And we can hold that space for them. But what I do see is women going really in the opposite way, and they're trying to fix the men, and it does. I've never known that to work in that way. And it's the wounded healer. It's the woman thinking she needs to heal all the men. It's not, so there's a real fine art. Men fix heal men, women fix heal women, but women hold that space for the men to come in and do any work they need to do, and at the other side, like with like Jared and being so organized with all these things, like we can be in the presence of men and know that we're taken care of, and we are, so there's a real sense of peace where for me as a woman, if I'm around a man who can do what he's doing and is kind of in his masculine, I feel like I can sit back and relax in my feminine, where I'm supposed to be. And the same way is that if a man is in the presence of a real sacred feminine, he gets to, feel safe and rested. And like you were saying with your husband, just be at peace and be like, oh, okay, she gets it. Like I can just rest and not have to do anything. So there's like a real dance with how it's the pendulum.
Mm-hmm.
Go here, like, gotta fix him, but you also can't do nothing. You've got to be in your energy, and just it kind of sits in the middle somewhere. I don't know. That's kind of what I've learned over the last few years as well, because I did that. I tried to fix so many men, and it didn't work. It genuinely didn't work.
Yeah, no, I love it. I had one girl, I remember my 16-year-old girlfriend. She was going through a dark emo phase, and I wasn't. And she asked me to put on a size like 28 pants, and I was like a size 30, and they were like super tight, and my crotch was hanging out, and I like walked out, and I was like, it was all awkward, and she's like, no, that doesn't look good, and I just remember thinking like, well, fuck you. Like,
you're the one that asked me to do this.
Yeah, like you asked me to put on these like super tight 28 size pants that like clearly do not fit me, and then criticize me for not looking good in them. But I didn't have my own voice at that point in my life, so I just remember being hurt on the inside and just being like, well, this is horrible, and I just walked back in. I don't like this girl at all.
So one of the things that I do, this is kind of like my coaching men and women, because it's usually in a couple setting cheat, is that I work with the women before and I tell them that just follow my lead and let him speak. And I turn the table. So men think they're being dragged to come being coached by me in the session, right? And they don't know what's good. They're on guard. And I let them run the session. So the husbands and the boyfriends run the session. And this gives the woman a chance to be able to see also like how to let a man lead. Yeah. And then what happens is like they'll be messaging me, the women, saying he wants to come back. And every time she's coming, he's like, is it my turn to go back? Because he's never quite been in that situation either, where he's like fully leading it. Even I just had a client that had her 18-year-old and 14-year-old son coach with me, and she said they're excited, they want to do more, but in the beginning it was like, I don't know, mom, this is supposed to be your thing, why are we being dragged into this, right? But even with the 18-year-old and the 14, they're boys, so they're in their masculine energy, so you put them in the leadership role even though you're the coach.
That's really
that's I'm gonna have to steal that from you, Mina.
Take it. If it helps people, take it.
That's totally it. That's the thing. We have to let them, and that's the problem with the women that are trying to fix them. Like they know what to do. Just hold the space and let them be who they are. Like that can be the issue, right? Because men, they're there to lead. I love being around a guy that can lead because I don't have to do anything. I can just sit back and enjoy life, like how women are kind of supposed to, and men enjoy being in control and leading. So it's like, great. If that makes you feel happy, everyone's a winner.
Yeah.
For everyone, I forgot that I was supposed to be the one interviewing because Jared took care of the thumbnail, the setup, everything. And I'm like, wait, what? I'm interviewing? I thought you were doing, because it's just so nice to have a man just kind of lead, and that I had to like put myself back into that role. Like it's so nice to just surrender to that. We need you full time, Jared.
Yeah, like I said, you can no problem with hiring me full time. I just cost a lot of money. That's all.
You're an expensive VA, right?
Right.
I love it. Thank you so much, guys. Before we let you guys go, please tell us where we can learn more about you, websites, programs, anything going on that you want us to know and the community to know about.
Yeah, Laura, that's all you, and I'll follow up.
Okay, so my website is lauraansell.global. Everything that you need is there. I've got online courses. I've got a mystery school where I teach people how to heal like I heal. So I teach people how to do past life regression, how to do childhood therapy, how to do entity and dark shadow removal, which is pretty
love it.
Badass, if I must say so.
Yeah, witchy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So I teach people how to do that. I've got my book on there. I make oracle cards that you guys can buy on there. I sell jewelry on there as well, like crystal jewelry.
Do you do custom oracle cards, or like you have some that you've made?
I have some that I've made. Yeah, I have 2 decks. They're like,
you know, I collect them, right? I wish I could show you. I probably will knock my whole thing down. I have like way too many. I won't say a number, but I collect them. I'm gonna have to get yours.
Oh, you should. Yeah, I have like, I mean, myself, I have like 50, 60 decks of oracle cards. I've got like stacks of them. So yeah, I make those and sell those. You can buy the original version, or you can buy pocket size ones, which are like, they sell so well. They're literally like this big and they're adorable.
I need those. Oh my God, awesome.
You can put them in your handbag. They're like pocket cards. So those are there. I sell crystal jewelry as well. And yeah, all my online courses, my book, everything is on the website. And then we've got obviously our work, which we can talk about after you want to share. And then we'll talk about what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. So my website's transformationalcoaching.co, and I have the Aligned Coaches course. And this is a whole course. I ran this program for coaches and healers to teach them how to go full-time in their business. So anything from the energetics of sales, masculine and feminine energy in sales, all the way to how to be heart aligned in the transformational process and how to hold space. And I really built this program. I called it the School for Soulpreneur / Aligned Coaches course, because I think the world really needs coaches and healers right now. It's waking up. The paradigms are shifting. We have the internet right now. So that's like 25 years old. So all these new ways of living and being are coming in. And I mean, all of us have capitalized on that and made money doing what it is that we loved. And so that was really what I wanted to put in the course, was how can you be loving, doing your passion, and making money? Because that for me is freedom. Like, that's how I define freedom. So that was the intent that I built the course, that I built the course with. So that's the first course that I have on there. And then Laura and I right now, we're doing an entire series on relationship. So it's sacred sexuality and sacred relationship. And if you're like a couple, or maybe you're just someone who's alone in the world and is trying to figure out what's going on, we're doing that relationship course series for the next, I guess it'll be for the next 3 months, Laura. And then we actually start the course in June.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and if you, oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, I was just going to say, and if you want, because obviously we do one-on-one coaching individually as healers, but we also offer it live as well, which is really amazing. We do online, a live online coaching session every Friday or a Thursday for you guys in America. And that's amazing. You get to see someone go through the journey of their emotions and healing stuff, and you get to see them at the beginning and you get to see them at the end, and they're always a different person, and you get to go through healing with them as well. It's really, I think it's pretty magical.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is that on your channel? That's on your YouTube channel, correct?
Yeah.
Yes. So Laura and I are only offering that on our YouTube channel right now. Like, we've just started doing this within the last month, and it's really cool to see how people react when they, or soften when they have a woman coach and a male coach, and like both those energies are holding space. Like, I don't know, we've been kind of geeking out about it backstage last month. Like, it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, really
I'll have to check that out. Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, great. And then all of those links will be in the description box for anyone that's interested in checking them out. Definitely go right now and subscribe to their YouTube channels, and then I'll also put the links for the websites and everything. Thank you so much, guys. This was so much fun.
Yeah.
Guys and ladies. We should say both, right? People always correct me because I'm so used to just saying guys, and they should be saying ladies. Guys and guys, ladies. Yes, everyone.
I don't think we can take offense at this point.
See, this is why we need these conversations with conscious people. We should make this a monthly thing. This was so much fun.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us on, Mina. It's really been a pleasure. I'm really glad we connected, and I think I could speak for Laura in that sense that, you know, it's been a real treat and pleasure, and I've definitely learned some great things too. I mean, even just in this interview, I'm gonna have to go back. There's like a couple of gems. I mean, just that idea that you had about like letting the man lead. I'm like, that's genius. I wish I had known that, because I'm looking back at moments where I could have done that and I did it the wrong way. So I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And thank you especially for the tech stuff that you just took care. I'm gonna have to look into how expensive of a VA you are, because you're fabulous. Thank you so much.
Thanks. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's where we'll close up. Yeah. I realize
I don't know what to do. You're the.
I realize I hold the power to end the broadcast. I'm going to close up here. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.
We really appreciate it. I really enjoyed this. Feel free to connect